Are you or a loved one taking multiple medications every day, trusting that each pill is helping maintain your health and independence? What if I told you that some of the most commonly prescribed medications for seniors could actually be accelerating cognitive decline and increasing your risk of dementia? This isn't about fear-mongering or telling you to abandon medical care entirely. This is about empowering you with knowledge that could protect your mind and preserve your quality of life for years to come. Every day, millions of older adults reach for their pill organizers, faithfully taking medications that were prescribed with good intentions, but may now be doing more harm than good. The tragic reality is that many healthcare providers don't regularly review medication lists or consider how certain drugs interact with the aging brain. Meanwhile, families watch helplessly as their loved ones experience confusion, memory loss, and rapid cognitive changes that could potentially be prevented or reversed. The medications we'll discuss today are sitting in medicine cabinets across the country, often prescribed for common conditions like allergies, sleep problems, depression, and pain management. But here's what most people don't know. These seemingly harmless drugs can create a perfect storm in the aging brain, leading to what researchers now call medication-induced cognitive impairment. Today, we're going to expose the 5 most dangerous medication categories that every person over 65 should be aware of. More importantly, we'll discuss safer alternatives and practical steps you can take to protect your cognitive health. Stay with me until the end, because this information could be life-changing for you or someone you love. The relationship between medications and cognitive decline in older adults is far more complex and dangerous than most people realize. As we age, our bodies process medications differently, yet many seniors continue taking the same drugs they've used for years, without understanding how these medications now affect their changing physiology. The liver metabolizes drugs more slowly, the kidneys don't filter as efficiently, and the brain becomes increasingly sensitive to chemical changes. This creates a perfect storm where medications that once seemed harmless can now trigger serious cognitive problems. What makes this situation particularly troubling is that medication-induced cognitive decline often mimics natural aging or early dementia symptoms. Families and even healthcare providers frequently dismiss memory problems, confusion, or personality changes as inevitable parts of growing older. They don't realize that the very medications prescribed to improve quality of life might be stealing away mental clarity and independence. This misunderstanding leads to a devastating cycle where cognitive symptoms are treated with additional medications, creating even more problems. The 5 medication categories we'll discuss today share a common characteristic. They all have what researchers call anticholinergic properties. These drugs block acetylcholine, a crucial brain chemical responsible for memory, learning, and attention. Think of acetylcholine as your brain's messenger service. When medications interfere with this system, messages between brain cells become garbled or lost entirely. Over time, this interference can cause permanent damage to brain tissue and accelerate the development of dementia. Recent studies have shown that people taking high anticholinergic medications have a significantly increased risk of developing dementia compared to those who avoid these drugs. Even more concerning is that the effects can begin within weeks of starting these medications, and the damage may not be fully reversible even after stopping them. This is why timing is so critical. The sooner you identify and address problematic medications, the better your chances of preserving cognitive function. Many older adults are taking multiple medications from these dangerous categories simultaneously, creating what researchers call a cognitive burden. Each additional anticholinergic medication compounds the risk, and the effects multiply rather than simply add together. A person taking 3 or 4 of these medications might experience cognitive decline equivalent to aging 10 additional years. This acceleration explains why some families notice rapid changes in their loved one's mental abilities seemingly overnight. To understand why certain medications threaten cognitive health, we need to explore what happens inside the aging brain when these drugs enter the system. Your brain contains approximately 86 billion nerve cells that constantly communicate through chemical signals. controlling everything from remembering where you put your keys to recognizing your grandchildren's faces. The key chemical messenger responsible for memory, learning, and attention is acetylcholine. Think of acetylcholine as your brain's postal service, delivering critical messages between nerve cells. When this system works properly, you can easily remember conversations, learn new skills, and maintain the mental sharpness that keeps you independent. When you're younger, your brain produces plenty of acetylcholine and maintains efficient communication between brain cells. This abundance explains why children learn languages effortlessly, and young adults can juggle multiple tasks while learning new skills. However, as we age, acetylcholine production naturally declines. This gradual reduction varies between individuals, but typically begins in our 40s and continues throughout life. This natural decline explains many cognitive changes people dismiss as normal aging. You might need to write appointments on calendars when you used to remember them effortlessly, or learning new technology requires more patience than before. Sometimes you walk into a room and forget why you came there, or struggle to find the right word during conversations. These changes don't mean your brain is broken or that dementia is inevitable. Think of your aging brain like a well-established office building that's operated successfully for decades. The structure remains sound, but communication systems need more maintenance, and there aren't as many messenger services running between departments. Work still gets accomplished, but requires more deliberate effort and organization. The aging brain also undergoes changes that make it more vulnerable to medications. The blood-brain barrier, which protects your brain from harmful substances, becomes more permeable with age. This means medications that might not have affected brain function in younger years can now cross into brain tissue more easily. Additionally, the brain's natural cleaning systems become less efficient, allowing potentially harmful substances to accumulate. When medications with anticholinergic properties enter this vulnerable system, they create cognitive interference by blocking acetylcholine receptors. This prevents remaining acetylcholine from completing its communication functions. Imagine trying to have a phone conversation while someone repeatedly disconnects your call. Brain cells continue trying to send messages, but medications prevent those messages from reaching their destinations. The interference begins subtly with symptoms easily attributed to other causes. Mental sharpness seems diminished, following complex television programs becomes harder, and concentration requires more effort. Reading books or working puzzles becomes less enjoyable. Some people experience confusion in previously familiar environments, or get disoriented in places they've visited countless times. Sleep patterns become disrupted because the brain's sleep-wake cycles depend on acetylcholine function. Memory formation, which occurs during deep sleep, becomes impaired when acetylcholine activity is blocked. This creates a vicious cycle where poor sleep further compromises cognitive function, leading to increased reliance on the very medications causing the problem. These cognitive changes develop gradually over weeks or months, making them nearly impossible to recognize as medication-related side effects. Family members might notice withdrawal, irritability, or confusion, but these changes often coincide with life stresses or health issues that provide alternative explanations. By the time the medication connection becomes apparent, significant brain changes may have occurred. The brain doesn't passively accept this interference. When acetylcholine function is chronically impaired, nerve cells struggle, lose connections, and eventually die. This process mirrors what occurs in Alzheimer's disease, explaining why medication-induced cognitive impairment can be indistinguishable from early dementia. The tragic irony is that families and healthcare providers often respond by adding more medications to address apparent cognitive decline, creating an even more dangerous spiral. The physical and emotional toll of medication-induced cognitive decline extends far beyond simple forgetfulness or occasional confusion. When these drugs begin interfering with brain function, they set off a cascade of changes that affect virtually every aspect of daily life, creating a web of interconnected problems that can rob older adults of their independence, confidence, and joy in living. Physically, the impact begins with subtle changes that many people initially dismiss as normal aging. Balance and coordination start to deteriorate as the brain struggles to process spatial information and coordinate movement. What once felt like automatic actions, such as walking upstairs or navigating around furniture, now require conscious thought and careful attention. This increased cognitive load for basic movements leaves less mental energy available for other activities, creating a constant sense of fatigue that seems to have no clear cause. Sleep disturbances become increasingly problematic as these medications interfere with the brain's natural sleep-wake cycles. The irony is particularly cruel when sleep medications themselves are contributing to the problem. Instead of providing restful sleep, these drugs can create fragmented, poor-quality rest that leaves people feeling groggy and disoriented during the day. The deep sleep stages necessary for memory consolidation and brain repair become elusive, creating a vicious cycle where cognitive function continues to deteriorate due to inadequate restorative sleep. Appetite and eating patterns often change dramatically. Some people lose interest in food entirely, leading to unintentional weight loss and nutritional deficiencies that further compromise brain health. Others experience increased confusion around mealtimes, forgetting whether they've eaten or preparing the same meal repeatedly. The social aspects of eating, which are so important for emotional well-being, begin to fade as cognitive challenges make following conversations during family dinners increasingly difficult. Personal hygiene and grooming, tasks that were once performed automatically, become sources of confusion and anxiety. People might forget steps in their daily routine, wear the same clothes for days without realizing it, or struggle with previously simple tasks like brushing their teeth or combing their hair. These changes are particularly distressing for family members to witness, as they represent a fundamental shift in their loved one's ability to care for themselves independently. The emotional impact of these physical changes cannot be overstated. Many older adults begin to notice that something isn't quite right with their thinking, even if they can't articulate exactly what's changed. This awareness creates a persistent undercurrent of anxiety and fear. They might worry that they're developing dementia, feel frustrated by their decreased mental sharpness, or become embarrassed about mistakes they never would have made before. This emotional distress often manifests as irritability, mood swings, or withdrawal from activities they previously enjoyed. Social isolation becomes increasingly common as cognitive challenges make interactions with others feel overwhelming or embarrassing. Conversations that once flowed naturally now require tremendous effort to follow, especially in group settings where multiple people are talking. The fear of saying something inappropriate or forgetting important details leads many people to limit their social engagements, creating a downward spiral where reduced social interaction further accelerates cognitive decline. Family relationships often bear the heaviest burden of these changes. Adult children find themselves in the heartbreaking position of watching their once sharp parent struggle with tasks that used to be effortless. The person who used to be the family problem solver, the keeper of family history, or the reliable source of wisdom and guidance may now need help with basic decisions or become confused about familiar family members. These role reversals are emotionally challenging for everyone involved and can strain family dynamics in unexpected ways. Driving becomes a major source of stress and conflict. Many older adults recognize that their reaction time and decision-making abilities aren't what they used to be, but the thought of giving up driving feels like surrendering their independence entirely. Family members worry about safety while trying to respect their loved one's autonomy. This tension often leads to difficult conversations and compromises that satisfy no one completely. Financial management, an area where cognitive decline can have serious practical consequences, becomes increasingly problematic. People might forget to pay bills, make the same payment twice, or fall victim to scams they would have easily recognized before. The complexity of managing insurance, medical bills, and routine financial tasks can become overwhelming, leading to mistakes that create additional stress and practical problems. The medical system itself often becomes a source of additional confusion and frustration. Keeping track of multiple appointments, remembering medication schedules, and communicating effectively with healthcare providers becomes increasingly challenging. The very system meant to provide help can feel overwhelming and impersonal, especially when cognitive changes make it difficult to advocate for oneself or ask the right questions during medical visits. Perhaps most devastating is the gradual erosion of personal identity and sense of self. Many older adults begin to feel like they're losing touch with who they've always been. The quick wit, sharp memory, or problem-solving abilities that defined their sense of self may feel increasingly out of reach. This loss of cognitive identity can lead to depression, anxiety, and a profound sense of grief for the person they used to be. The cumulative effect of these physical and emotional changes often results in a significant decrease in overall quality of life. Activities that once brought pleasure, such as reading, playing games, pursuing hobbies, or engaging in community activities, may become sources of frustration rather than enjoyment. The rich, full life that many older adults have worked decades to build can begin to feel constrained and diminished, not because of natural aging processes, but because of preventable medication effects that nobody recognized or addressed in time. When it comes to medications and cognitive health in older adults, countless myths and misconceptions cloud the truth, often preventing people from taking protective action or seeking appropriate help. These widespread beliefs can be dangerous when they prevent older adults and their families from recognizing medication-related cognitive problems. One of the most persistent and harmful myths is that significant cognitive decline is simply an inevitable part of aging that must be accepted without question. This fatalistic view suggests that confusion, memory loss, and decreased mental sharpness are natural consequences of growing older. The truth is that while some minor changes in processing speed are normal with aging, dramatic cognitive decline is not inevitable and often signals an underlying problem that can be addressed. Another dangerous misconception is that prescription medications are always safer than over-the-counter drugs, simply because they require a doctor's prescription. Many people assume that if a physician prescribed a medication, it must be the safest available option. However, prescription status doesn't automatically guarantee safety, especially for older adults whose bodies process drugs differently. Some of the most problematic medications for cognitive health are prescription drugs that doctors prescribe routinely without fully considering their long-term brain effects. The belief that taking multiple medications simultaneously is harmless, as long as each individual drug is safe, represents another critical misunderstanding. This myth fails to account for complex interactions that occur when multiple drugs work together in the aging body. Even when each medication individually might be considered safe, the combination can create unexpected and dangerous effects. Many people incorrectly believe that if they've been taking a medication for years without obvious problems, it must be safe to continue indefinitely. This ignores the reality that the aging body changes continuously, affecting how medications are processed. A drug that was appropriate at age 60 might become problematic by age 75 due to changes in kidney function, liver metabolism, or brain sensitivity. A particularly troubling myth suggests that once cognitive decline begins, nothing can be done to improve or slow the progression. This defeatist attitude prevents many people from exploring whether medications might be contributing to their symptoms. The reality is that medication-induced cognitive impairment is often partially or completely reversible when problematic drugs are identified and safely discontinued or replaced with safer alternatives. Some people believe they should never question their doctor's medication recommendations, or that asking about alternatives shows a lack of trust in medical expertise. However, the best medical care occurs when patients and doctors work together as partners. Questioning medication choices and asking about alternatives is not disrespectful. It's an essential part of responsible healthcare. Finally, the misconception that generic medications are less effective or safe than brand-name versions can complicate efforts to find appropriate treatments. Generic medications contain the same active ingredients as their brand-name counterparts and undergo rigorous testing for safety and efficacy. Taking control of your cognitive health requires a comprehensive approach combining smart medication management with brain-supporting lifestyle strategies. The good news is that many effective interventions are within your control and can create meaningful improvements in mental clarity. The first crucial step is conducting a thorough medication review with a healthcare provider who understands prescribing challenges for older adults. Prepare by creating a complete list including every prescription drug, over-the-counter medication, and supplement you take. Include the dose, frequency, original purpose, and any side effects you've noticed. Don't forget occasional medications like sleep aids or pain relievers, as these contribute significantly to your anticholinergic burden. During this review, ask specific questions about each drug. Find out whether each medication is still necessary, if doses could be reduced, and whether safer alternatives exist. Ask about anticholinergic properties and cumulative effects. Many providers have tools to calculate your total anticholinergic burden and identify the most problematic medications. If your physician seems rushed or dismissive, consider consulting a geriatrician or clinical pharmacist specializing in medication management for older adults. These specialists can often identify safer prescribing opportunities others might miss. Some healthcare systems offer specialized medication therapy management programs for older adults. When reducing problematic medications, patience and persistence are essential. Many drugs require gradual tapering to avoid withdrawal symptoms. This process might take weeks or months. Never stop medications abruptly on your own, as this can be dangerous and make providers reluctant to try alternatives. Nutrition plays a crucial role in cognitive health. Focus on foods providing steady brain energy throughout the day. Choose complex carbohydrates like whole grains, oats, and sweet potatoes, rather than simple sugars that cause energy spikes and crashes. Include omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish, walnuts, and flax seeds for brain cell structure and communication. Eat antioxidant-rich foods like berries, leafy greens, and bright vegetables to protect against cognitive decline. Dark chocolate, green tea, and turmeric contain protective compounds. Stay well hydrated, as even mild dehydration impacts cognitive function. Time meals to support stable blood sugar, eating smaller, frequent meals rather than large ones that cause drowsiness. Physical activity is one of the most powerful cognitive protection tools. Regular exercise increases brain blood flow, promotes new brain cell growth, and clears harmful waste products. Even moderate activities like walking, swimming, gardening, or dancing provide significant benefits. Aim for 150 minutes of moderate exercise weekly, plus strength training twice weekly for additional benefits. Sleep quality profoundly impacts cognitive health and medication effects. Poor sleep increases vulnerability to side effects and worsens cognitive symptoms. Establish consistent sleep schedules, create a cool, dark, quiet environment, and develop relaxing bedtime routines. If taking sleep medications, explore non-drug approaches with your provider, as many sleep aids have anticholinergic properties. Mental stimulation and social engagement maintain cognitive resilience. Challenge your brain with learning, problem-solving, and creative activities. Read challenging books, do puzzles, play strategic games, learn new skills, or take classes. Maintain strong social connections through family interaction, community activities, volunteering, or clubs. If mobility limits in-person connections, explore telephone programs or online communities. Stress management is crucial because chronic stress worsens medication effects and accelerates brain aging. Develop healthy coping strategies like deep breathing, meditation, prayer, nature time, or engaging hobbies. Regular stress reduction practice helps your brain function more effectively. Finally, become an active health advocate. Keep a journal noting how you feel mentally and physically, recording changes that might relate to medications. This information helps healthcare providers optimize your treatment. Don't hesitate to seek second opinions if concerns aren't taken seriously. Remember, you have the right to participate actively in all medical care decisions. As we reach the end of our journey today, understand something fundamental. The confusion, memory problems, and mental fog many people accept as inevitable parts of aging often aren't inevitable at all. You have far more control over your cognitive destiny than you believed. The knowledge you've gained today is power that can transform your life and protect your mind. Millions of older adults live with unnecessary cognitive impairment simply because no one told them what you now know. They're taking medications that cloud their thinking and rob them of mental clarity. But you're different now. You're armed with understanding about how medications affect your brain and have practical strategies to protect yourself. This isn't about living in fear of medications or rejecting medical care. It's about becoming an informed healthcare partner who asks the right questions and advocates for treatments supporting both physical health and cognitive well-being. You deserve providers who listen to your concerns and prioritize your quality of life. Remember that your brain has remarkable capacity for healing even later in life. When you remove substances interfering with brain function and support cognitive health through nutrition, exercise, and quality sleep, you give your brain the best chance to function optimally. Many people experience significant improvements in mental clarity when addressing medication-related problems, sometimes seeing changes within weeks. Your family and loved ones will benefit tremendously from your actions today. When you maintain cognitive health, you preserve the relationships and connections that give life meaning. You remain the person your family has always known, capable of sharing wisdom and participating fully in their lives. Don't underestimate the ripple effect of your advocacy. When you ask providers about anticholinergic burden or seek safer alternatives, you're educating healthcare providers and potentially helping other patients. Your voice matters, and speaking up can lead to better care for countless other older adults. Take pride in the steps you're taking to protect cognitive health. You're choosing to be proactive, informed, and engaged in your care. This empowerment will serve you well in all aspects of aging, helping maintain control over your life and choices. The path forward is about progress, not perfection. Each conversation with providers about medications, every brain-healthy meal choice, and every social connection contributes to cognitive resilience. Small, consistent actions create significant improvements over time. You're not powerless in the face of aging, and you don't have to accept cognitive decline as inevitable. With the right information and approach to medication management, you can protect your mind and continue living the rich, full life you deserve. If this video opened your eyes to the connection between medications and cognitive health, please subscribe to our channel to stay informed about important health topics affecting older adults. Comment below and let us know where you're watching from. We love connecting with our worldwide community. Most importantly, share this video with family, friends, or anyone who might benefit from this crucial information. Knowledge is most powerful when shared, and you might help someone avoid unnecessary cognitive decline. Together, we can create a community of informed, empowered older adults who refuse to accept anything less than the cognitive health and dignity they deserve.